I know you think life just happens to you, right? Well, that's most people. But the truth is, reality is moldable. What if I told you that there's a universal law that when you apply the right way can completely change reality in your favor? And you know what? You could be using it already, but in a harmful way without even knowing it. Let's prevent that. The Kabayan is a book based on ancient Hermetic philosophy, and it details the teachings of an ancient mystic named Hermes Trismegistus. And in this book, he talks about several spiritual laws that govern the universe. And when we understand these laws, we can really mold reality and affect our outer world in a way that we want. And one of the laws that's completely changed my life and also isn't talked about enough and people don't understand thoroughly enough is the law of correspondence. In this video, I'm going to break down the law of correspondence, how it works, why it's so important to understand this law and apply it. And by the end, I'm going to give you different ways to apply it. And this video is going to be littered with examples, so you're going to be able to follow along very closely. Let's add some background. Quote, the law of correspondence states that our external world is a reflection of our internal world. Our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs determine our reality. So you can think of this almost like the law of mirroring, where reality mirrors your internal state. Think of it like this. Reality was created by a giant mind. We call this God or the universe. And this giant mind split itself into different parts, physical parts and also non-physical parts. Your consciousness, everything about you is a fragment of the universe, a fragment of God. You're a piece of it. Your fragmented mind is God, and it can shape the reality around it, just like God created reality itself. So you're already a fragmentation of God in the universe. So creation corresponds to what you want to create. You internally create the outer reality. You often hear outer reality in spiritual texts as the macrocosm, the macro, and you are the microcosm. So the outer world doesn't just make all your decisions. People feel as though reality is just happening to them, but they don't understand that they are actually, can be at the cause. They can be the authority figure that chooses. People that follow what other people tell them to do, they're choosing to follow that direction. They're creating that reality by following the rules. They're still choosing. Everything's a choice. So your life isn't just random. It's a conglomerate of your internal states and decisions you've made based on those internal states, those thoughts, those emotions, those attitudes. The issue is a lot of people create reality unconsciously, and then they look at the outside and then they play victim and say it's the outer world's fault. Now, is the outer world wild? Yeah, it can get very wild, but it's about what you focus on. Because the outer world, you have political things going on, you got all these types of things, but if you're focusing on all of this distraction, if you're focusing on just chaos around you, what do you feel internally? You feel chaos internally. So instead of blaming others, let's look at how we can use the law of correspondence in our favor to look inward, change ourselves inward so that the outer reality follows suit. Quote, by understanding and applying the law of correspondence, we can explore the nature of our experiences, identify patterns that may be hindering our growth, and consciously live more fulfilling and harmonious lives. Later in this video, I'm going to break down how to do so. So the universal mind, in the Kabayan, this is called the law of mentalism. The universe came from a giant mind, which is God. The universal mind created three main planes of existence. These planes can all affect one another, and I'm going to give examples of the law of correspondence as it relates to each plane of existence. Then I'll give examples of how the different planes of existence correspond or affect one another. So there's the physical level, the mental level, and the spiritual / metaphysical level. Now, for the sake of this video, for the spiritual / metaphysical level, I'll just say spiritual level. Now, let's start with the physical level. You get some sunflower seeds. You decide to grow them in your backyard. You go to your backyard and you sow the seeds. You water them, they get nice sunlight. You take good care of them. You're a good gardener, basically. So you taking care of them leads to this sunflower to have very healthy roots, strong roots, well taken care of roots, and it grows very healthy. And the end result is it's a healthy, beautiful sunflower. Now this sunflower is a reflection of the healthy roots and how well you took care of the sunflower. So that's an example of the law of correspondence in the 3D realm, aka matter. Next is the mental level. When you focus on thoughts of abundance, it helps you see abundance around you. The reason why is because your reticular activating system in your brainstem, your selective focus, these bundle of nerves focus on things that are relevant to you. So when you're constantly focusing on abundance, you start to see more abundance around you. it becomes very clear all the abundant opportunities around you. Job openings, new ways for you to pursue your passion and still make money from your passion. Abundance of people that could be friends, abundance of people that could be potential partners for you, abundance of just so many things. Your brain is focusing like a lens on the things that you are focused on inward. The outer world is reflecting the inner world. Next, let's talk about the spiritual level. Your frequency corresponds to people and events on the same frequency. The frequency of other people on the outside can affect your frequency. If other people think in terms of lack and they are always angry, they're always sad, if you have these types of people in your environment all the time, they are going to rub off on you. You will take in that frequency. You will be in resonance with that frequency if you allow yourself to stay around that for long enough. And then that frequency becomes a normalized part of your life and you view the world in that sense. At that frequency, it's what you attract in the world. It's what you see in the world. It's what's relevant to you in the world. I just broke down each plane of existence. Now let's talk about how they intertwine with each other with examples. Example 1, consistently bad weather patterns in a particular place affects the thoughts and emotions of some people. There's studies on this, weather affecting people's moods. There's a thing called winter depression, believe it or not. Think of how cold weather affects people in Alaska and how the sunny weather affects people in California. Now, it's obvious that it's not the only factor affecting their moods, but it's definitely one of them. As above, the outer reality is affecting as below, the people. So we have physical, which affects mental. Now, second example, when you do a certain habit, physical, like meditation, right? You physically get up and go and sit down and then you cross your legs and you meditate. You start creating new neural connections in your brain, mental, for that habit of meditation. So if you do it consistently, there are neural pathways in your brain because it's a habit of that skill of meditation, of doing it at a certain time each day and then getting better at that skill of meditation. So that's the mental. Physical affecting the mental. And then this practice can lead to spiritual improvements in your frequency because meditation allows you to calm down the neurotic mind, which can come in with anger, jealousy, all these low vibrational thoughts that aren't conducive for spiritual growth. So meditation allows you to calm it, watch it, not identify with it. And your ability to focus on positive things that are actually better for you, increases. It's easier for you to focus on emotions that are in higher resonance with better outcomes. So things like gratitude, for example, things like joy, things like love. These are things that can emanate from you. But how did it start? It started at the physical, you doing the habit, and then neural pathways came about, and then the practice itself improved your spiritual growth, your ability to disidentify with the ego, your ability to focus on emotions you want. Third example, binging on social media. That's the physical. And what happens, you fry your brain with dopamine, that's the mental. Dopamine just fries your brain and it motivates you to go back to it, right? To do it again. Again, going back to neural pathways of that habit. When you're on social media, what happens? You're scrolling, you see your friends, you see acquaintances, you see strangers, you see celebrities, you see your ex, you see cousin, family members, you see all types of people posting highlights of their lives. You start getting envious and jealous and you start hating on people, all that stuff. And so these negative emotions come about, and jealousy is there because of the lives that you see shared on social media, how people share their highlights. And now you start thinking in lack. You start thinking in terms of, oh, I can never get there, or oh, they just got lucky. Oh, there isn't enough for everybody. Now your spiritual frequency is of lack and fear and a lower vibration. So the physical, again, affect the mental, which affected the spiritual realm. So what starts to happen? You start seeing lack around you in your environment. You don't see the opportunities. Opportunities don't get attracted to you. The people that aren't in resonance with lack don't meet you because they don't resonate with your frequency. Now, I'm not done yet. This gets even deeper. And I'll start with a quote. Quote, "To live to our fullest, the three planes that must be in harmony are the physical, mental, and spiritual planes. What this means is that the three realms are connected and are always communicating. The principles are similar to the butterfly effect." And this is where the video gets really good, so listen very closely. But when a butterfly flaps its wings, the energy reverberates, causing waves throughout the universe. These waves influence many aspects of our existence. Now we're going to get into chaos theory, which really relates to the law of correspondence. Quote, chaos theory states that within the apparent randomness of chaotic complex systems, there are underlying patterns, interconnection, constant feedback loops, repetition, self-similarity, fractals, and self-organization. The butterfly effect, an underlying principle of chaos, describes how a small change in one state of a deterministic nonlinear system can result in large differences in a later state, meaning that there is sensitive dependence on initial conditions. So chaos theory is just another lens we can view reality creation through, aka correspondence. When we can align with the small things, thoughts, and emotions of abundance, for example, the smaller, the microcosm, when we shift our microcosm to that, then those thoughts, emotions, attitudes, etc. create grander realities that are a vibrational match to the thoughts, emotions, and attitudes. And this is how positive or negative realities are created. And these changes can come in different ways, right? Like when you change your attitude, your thoughts, emotions change. Your behaviors start to change. Physically, your mental, your spiritual affects your physical. You start doing different things to get to a certain goal or a certain outcome or a certain version of yourself you want to get to. You naturally start to do it. Why? Because you're in alignment. You're internally in alignment, and outwardly you take action easily. There's no resistance. There's no procrastination. There's none of this stuff. When you also do this, sometimes things just come to you like that. It's amazing, really. These are called synchronicities. They just appear. Now, I can't tell you if you're in alignment internally, you're always going to have things just magically happen. I can't tell you that. And I can't tell you that if you're in alignment internally, you're always going to have to go out and do it. It can be either or. I've had experiences of being in such alignment that I naturally do the practical actions. And I've had instances where it just appeared, an opportunity appeared. And I've had instances where it's a little bit of both. So it depends on the person, it depends on the situation. So always be open to the fact that once you really understand this, reality really does change very quickly and things come to you very quickly. And also understand that you will naturally take the practical actions to change the outer reality. Quote, chaos is the science of surprises, of the nonlinear and the unpredictable. It teaches us to expect the unexpected. Exactly. What did I just talk about? I said that when you change internally, you can either go out and get it or it just appears. That's the unexpected. That's what you didn't think was going to happen. So chaos theory really explains to us this whole thing of correspondence. You will be surprised the route you take towards your change and the route the universe, God, takes to bring your change forth. The grand outcome was a result of a smaller, consistent change, your thoughts, emotions, behaviors. Like a butterfly flapping its wings in Omaha, Nebraska, and there being a typhoon in the Philippines. That butterfly flapping its wings, it's a small change in the reality that led to different events that led to that typhoon in the Philippines. And shout out to Omaha, Nebraska. I know some of my subscribers really like that I shouted out Omaha, Nebraska in my other videos, so I'll shout out Omaha, Nebraska again. Let's get into how we practically apply the law of correspondence. First, take an extremely clear inventory of your thoughts, emotions, attitudes, and behaviors, assumptions, patterns of thinking, all of this stuff, and beliefs as well. Everything you do day to day, you're creating a habit that's shaping reality, and doing means internally. In other words, you're putting down votes for what you want. I got this quote from James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits. He talks about when it comes to habits, the habits we do are votes for the outcomes that we want. It's about starting small. Your small actions create your larger outcomes. Next, watch your environment. How is your environment affecting you? If you're in a negative environment, a low frequency environment, people with limiting beliefs, people that are haters, people that don't do anything with their lives, people that have nothing to offer you or that are leeching from you, that's going to affect your mood. That's going to affect your state. So changing your environment allows you to go in an environment that's more conducive for your internal growth. Things you want to manifest, whether you're using the law of assumption or whatever, it's easier to do so because the environment isn't fighting you. It's on your side. And sometimes it's hard to tell that you're in a negative environment because you're so used to it. Is this environment right for me? Are these friends right for me? Is this place I'm living even right for me? Because it's contributing to my reality. Next, contemplate how your thoughts and actions led to certain realities. Contemplate this. Think of your past. Maybe you ended up scapegoating somebody else, but in truth, it was actually you all along. Now, when you do this exercise, make sure you do it without too much regret or living in the past, because that can be a trap. That can be a thing where you start guilting yourself or you start regretting mistakes you've made. But that's not what this is about. It's about viewing the past as objectively as possible, right? Scientists, when they approach something, they try to be as objective as possible. Compared to a regular person, they approach it as objective as possible. So treat it like that. Another good thing you can do here is, if you feel too close to that old version of you, assign that situation to a different person and then look at that lens. How did their internal state, their thoughts, emotions, attitudes, behaviors affect the outer world? How did their thoughts and emotions affect their behavior? Here's a quote I like. When you are criticized, praise someone. When you are hurt, love someone. When you are discouraged, encourage someone. When you are afraid, reassure someone. So the outer world gives us something. It's very easy for us to be in alignment with that thing that we don't want. So you get criticized and then you want to criticize someone back. But what if you praise somebody? You're changing that energy signature. I'm learning that, hey, if I get hate, I react this way. Now I'm thanking that person. You don't have to praise them, but you thank them. So you can see how you're the authority here. You're the one that is making the decisions. It's just that a lot of times we make decisions unconsciously, but at the end of the day, we're the ones that sign off on things. Doing the opposite / harder action makes you feel better and prevents you from staying in lower moods. I'm not saying to never sit with your lower moods and feel them, but what I am saying is don't stay there. That's big right there. This is a really good example of applying the law of correspondence. Gratitude. Expressing gratitude each and every single day. Gratitude for the things you have, gratitude for the things you had, gratitude for your future self. Living with the end in mind. When you're grateful, you're signaling to your psyche that you are already complete. You already have the things you want. Because that's what happens when you get something, you're grateful, right? Depending on who you are, maybe you're not grateful for too long, but at least you're grateful. You have some joy around that. You already have the thing. So when you already have something, you are abundant. You have things. And what do we know about correspondence? The outer reality reflects our internal world. If we are in abundance, we attract abundance. We see abundance around us. But if we're in lack, we aren't grateful of anything. We just look at the things we don't have. All we see is lack outside of us, and we attract more lack. So you can see that everything is all about vibrational matches. So gratitude is a great example of the law of correspondence at play. Next, reaffirming your desired reality. So when we are in alignment now, we start to notice the outer world change. You can use these changes in the outer world to give you more conviction about you reaching what you want to reach. So for example, someone wants to live in Spain one day. If they visualized and they're in alignment with being in Spain, and being that version of them that speaks Spanish well and all this stuff. They're at a coffee shop and they overhear someone talking about their visit to Spain and how amazing it was. And then that person starts a conversation with them and they start talking about Spain. This is evidence that they're heading towards the direction of moving to Spain. And they can use this to reaffirm and add conviction to their practice of the law of assumption, right? Corresponding. The outer world is now corresponding to their internal thoughts, feelings, and all that stuff related to Spain. All is one. What happens in one plane affects the other planes.